Well, howdy friends, Brian Flechsig of Mad River Outfitters and the Midwest Fly Fishing Schools, and welcome back to another one of our Q&A videos. You know, as we often say, friends, if you have a question that you need answered, you send that question to admin@madriveroutfitters.com, or you pick up the phone and give us a call here at the shop. And we're always happy to help. Customer service is what we do for a living. Fly fishing is what we sell. And if that question that you send via email happens to make it onto our YouTube channel in this here series, then we will send you out a free Mad River Outfitters hat and fly box. So anyways, on to a couple of questions. Whoa. And this comes from Jane Simpson from Avondale, Arizona. All right, Jane, thanks for being here. But Jane says, in many of your videos, you talk about changing leaders between contact and non-contact fly fishing. Very good, Jane. Thanks for picking up on that. I'm still trying to grasp these concepts, but do have a simple question. Well, let's go back and let's remember that contact fly fishing is where the loop that you form in the fly line carries all the way down the leader. So it requires a specific type of leader, and it goes straight to the fly. So that loop you made with the fly line carries down the leader. You make a perfectly straight cast, the rod comes down, and you have contact with the fly. Let's remember this is streamer fishing for trout, streamer fishing for bass, smallmouth. This is pike, muskie, bluegill, saltwater, all saltwater is contact. Non-contact fishing is where the fly, is going to ride on the current or in the current as if it were not attached to a leader. So you're not imparting action. And again, that's going to require a specific design of leader or specific leader purchase if you don't tie your own. And that's going to be, of course, dry fly fishing, traditional dry fly fishing, and nymph fishing. Not to be confused with Euro nymphing. A lot of people call Euro nymphing contact nymphing or contact. And I've said this before, I'm American. I don't know hardly anything about Euro nymphing. So the nymphing I'm talking about is old-fashioned dead drift nymphing, most of the times with a strike indicator or bobber, yes. So anyhow, Jane, when you are changing leaders, what do you do with the one you took off? You certainly don't throw them away. Is there a special way to store them to be used later? Well, Jane, simple solution, and it's called a leader wallet. This just happens to be the one that I use for my airflow poly leaders. Different subject, different video, but this is an example of a Scientific Angler's leader wallet. And also we sell one made by Rio. You've probably seen me use that one, but it's just a real simple wallet, and it's got these little Ziploc baggies. And so when you take a leader out of the package, you either loop it on or tie it onto your fly line, you fish it, and then you want to change leaders. Well, just wrap it back up around your fingers. I've got a video or two, I've shown you how to do that. You wrap it around your fingers, coil it back up, and put it in your leader wallet, okay? You can put it back in the original package, and if you don't, I'll take a Sharpie and I'll mark on here what each little Ziploc baggie contains, and or I'll cut out the packaging that the leader came in so I know what it is. But if you're going to switch between, of course, if I'm just contact fishing, if I'm just throwing streamers for trout, I don't need to carry this with me because I just build a contact leader and all I do is replace tippet all day. But if you're going to be switching between contact, non-contact, dry, non-contact nymphs, i.e. trout fishing, it's about the only place you do that, then you're going to want to get yourself a leader wallet. And no, I don't throw them away. I always seem to wrap them up and stash them in my fly vest and wind up throwing them out months or years later. Well, you can avoid that. Just get yourself a leader wallet, one of our top selling items here at the shop. And again, Rio makes a very nice one, and then Scientific Anglers makes this one currently, but you can always go to our website, go to the leader department, and there's a category of leader accessories. Believe it or not, there are leader accessories. Of course, in fly fishing, there's accessories for everything.
We like to accessorize.
We like to accessorize. So anyway, Jane, stay close. We've got your address here. We're going to shoot out a hat and a fly box to Avondale, Arizona. And thank you. We appreciate you. Next question comes from Steve Ryan from Algoma, Wisconsin. All right, Steve, dear Brian, love the channel, watch most every day, much to my wife's dismay. She would rather I be doing things around the house, so needless to say, she's not as much a fan as I am. Well, I can understand that, and you'd be surprised how often I hear that. And please apologize to your wife. I have seen many of the leader videos that you and Flip have made and really love the simplicity of the system. Well, thank you. So do we. I think it's fairly revolutionary, and I think once this really gets out there, I think it's going to really have a huge impact on fly fishing moving forward. Can you explain the knots that you use to construct your contact leaders, connection to the fly line as well as connecting the sections? Well, sure. That's super, super easy. First is connecting the leader to the fly line. What we do is called a snell knot, which is essentially the same thing as a nail knot, but the snell tends to seat onto the fly line a lot better. It's the way that the knot seats. It's not about strength. It's not about simplicity of tying. A lot of the other people have tried to argue with Flip and I on this, but that's not what it's about. It's the way the knot seats, and when it seats, it creates this little pigtail, which does make it stronger. And some of the people that have done tests on the snell versus the nail knot, well, they tied the snell wrong. I mean, in the video, it's right there in the video, they tied it wrong. If you want to learn how to tie the snell, here is a video right here. And if you can't see that link on your device, it's down in the comments, or excuse me, in the description of the video. So if you tie the snell properly, it is stronger. It does hold better because of the way it seats. Okay. And then, of course, the other way to connect the leader is with a loop-to-loop knot. Of course, if you're buying store-bought leaders, which you can, there are some good contact leaders. In fact, I really like the Cortland streamer leaders, and they make a 7-foot and then they make a 4-foot. Cortland listened to Flip and I. Flip, of course, works with Cortland. I work closely with Cortland. And they listened, they created some good leaders. And so for a floating line, the 7-footer is great. For a sinking line, the 4-footer is great. And then from there on out, it's blood knots. It's blood knots, blood knots, blood knots. Of course, with contact fly fishing, you're rarely getting down into the X's. Okay, if I'm attaching 3X to 5X or 4X to 6X, I might use a surgeon's knot. But you're almost never in the X's with any contact leader, so you want to use a blood knot. We always say anything larger than, say, 1X or 0X, you're going to use blood knots, and anything smaller than 0X, you can use a surgeon's knot. And then Steve goes on to say, I've also heard you talk about using swivels. Can you explain why you use these and where they go in the leader? Well, Steve, first of all, they go in the leader. They go between the midsection and the tippet. You remember that all of our contact leaders have a butt section, which matches the fly line in stiffness. Then they have a tippet that matches the fly and the fish, and then they have a midsection that splits the difference diameter-wise. That's it. On a floating line, you can make it as long or short as you want. On a sinking line, we make it about 4 foot. And a butt section of 2 foot, midsection of 1, and a tippet of 1 on a sinking line. On a floating line, you can make the butt section as long or short as you want, and then your midsection's 18 inches, your tippet is about 18 inches. Super, super simple. So a lot of folks are really concerned about the fact that, well, what happens after you cut back and you're adding tippet, that midsection's gonna get shorter. Well, all you do is just add another knot and make your midsection 18 inches or 1 foot again. It's that simple, and then add your tippet. But if you don't want to do that, you can add, especially on sinking lines. I'm to the point now where I'm always using a swivel on a sinking line leader, and it goes between the midsection and the tippet. And that way, the only thing you're ever doing is replacing the tippet. I mean, that butt section, especially if you snell it on, it might be permanent. That butt section might be there for the life of the fly line. The midsection, if you have a swivel, it might be there for the life of the fly line. And then all you're gonna do is add your 1 foot of tippet. You can also use these on floating line leaders, especially if you're fishing subsurface. If you're fishing streamers on a floating line, you can put that swivel in there. It actually helps because it helps the leader to sink a little bit. I do not typically use them on dry flies, but I do, and of course dry fly fishing is not contact fishing, but I do often use them for poppers. It's not a problem for poppers. In fact, if it does sink a little bit, that's a good thing when you're fishing with a popper. It's not going to sink enough to pull the popper down, I can guarantee you that. So anyhow, first of all, they make life easy. They make it such that you can just add tippet to that butt section and that mid. It makes them virtually permanent. The other thing it can do is it can prevent leader twist. Okay, when you're throwing some of these bigger flies, it can really cause a leader to kind of get twisted up, and that swivel, of course, does this, which is a thing. It swivels, and that can prevent your leader from twisting up. And also might, I don't have scientific proof, but it also might allow for a little bit more freedom of movement for your fly and your tippet. It might increase the action by 0.06%, which some of us need all the help we can get. So anyways, Steve, I hope that helps you out. I hope that helps out some other folks, and we appreciate you being here, and watch your mailbox for a Mad River Outfitters hat and a Mad River Outfitters fly box. So once again, friends, as always, we appreciate you being here. Send those questions over to admin@madriveroutfitters.com or pick up the phone and give us a call. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out. It's free. Hit the like button. That just makes us feel good. And hop on over to our website where you buy all kinds of things to support our YouTube channel. And trust me, we really appreciate it. And then also register for our monthly newsletter. So as always, friends, we appreciate you, and stay tuned and stay in touch.